and with that, I'm going to lead into our last story of the day, which is a little bit more of a big picture perspective, but uh, with a tech side to it as well. In that recruitment vendor Indeed, which we all know, Indeed.com, job posting, stuff like that,
Yeah.
they did a survey that showed that, among other things, 51% of Gen Z thinks their college degree is a waste of money because the world's more complex, AI, all these things that make them think that what they did during their years of college is not useful to them from a working perspective. So I know you looked at this, both the article and the study as well, and I'm curious what you thought of it.
Well, I actually think that there's a lot of goodness to be found in here. So for a period of time, I actually worked in the computer science department on faculty as at Cal State Fullerton,
Mm-hmm.
and I just can recall back to then there was definitely more of a focus on what I would call job related skills because there was a time when it was in fashion to be having your like first college experience be more along the lines of liberal arts. Why? Because it fostered a balanced worldview that enabled appreciation of the arts and the sciences, study of history and its connection to modern events. And
Mm-hmm.
college curricula have generally steadily narrowed their focus to be more um, like an employment prep or job skills program.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that we've lost something as part of that. And I think that the Gen Z comment really goes into kind of like seeing the reality of, well, I did all this schoolwork and am I seeing the benefit in the workplace? Not not a whole lot. And
Mm-hmm.
a lot of companies are dropping their requirement for having college degrees. So I think that there's really something in here to pay attention to. And when you consider the cost of education over time, like back in the 70s, like where you live in California,
Mm-hmm.
it used to be where you could actually go to a UC or a Cal State school and have a full-on 4-year degree and have spent somewhere in the neighborhood of $40,000 for it.
Mm-hmm.
And compared to what the ability to earn was, you're not looking at something which was like this huge mountain of debt, like what we're seeing today, where people are going through and potentially three, four, five times the amount of spend for what's probably not as good an education,
Mm-hmm.
in uh, just raw dollars from period to period. So with
Yeah.
current economic conditions, the mass layoffs that we're seeing in tech, and I think that math is going to get a lot worse before it gets better. So I think it's a really good time for us to be thinking about what the value and the cost of education is and the role of education here in the US. Because if we don't do something that actually causes that change, especially with like the pulling out the infrastructure around the Department of Education and how funding goes from the federal government down to the states and localities. Uh, this could have some significant consequences where we not only show a decrease in leadership, but we actually lose our ability to be a world leader.
Yeah, and I think there's a real confusion about what the college degree is supposed to represent. Once upon a time, it was basically the ticket to call it a white collar lifestyle,
Yeah.
or it was more of a job guarantee. And I don't think it really is anymore. That's part of the problem, that it is sold as a guarantee for something that it's not. I think about my own tech experience. So I graduated with a liberal arts degree in women's and gender studies, of all things. I loved it. It was really interesting in finding out how people lived in different ways around the world. And it's been really useful for my managerial career, actually. But obviously, I didn't learn much about tech in there. And I learned most of my tech in my first 5 years on the job. It
Yeah,
was
right.
stuff that I could have learned probably in a community college, or a good technical, maybe even a technical high school, who knows, like the stuff. I feel like the stuff I learned about, say, with data structures and database management, it's useful, and it was not necessarily basic at elementary school stuff, but it didn't necessarily need a 4-year college to learn this stuff either. I think we need to find some sort of balance there on the technical skills that are necessary to work, but we also need to tell college students or potential college students that the college degree and experience is not just about taking the classes and getting the degree, but also who you're able to network with. That a lot of these professors are world class experts in what they do. And if you're not talking to them outside of class hours, you're the one missing out. There are these research opportunities that exist at the school. All of these, there's different cultural experiences that come into play when you go to, say, a state university or a decently sized school, even just like music, art, all of these things, that's part of the college experience as well. And if you're just skipping all that and simply saying, I'm going to take my 4 classes per semester and I'm going to get out of here with my whatever 3.5 GPA and expecting to get a job, like that doesn't quite cut it either, because that's kind of cheating yourself out of
Yeah.
the ongoing college experience that actually lives with you for 40 years. The class, individual classes, they kind of come and go. A lot of that's faded from our brains at this point, but there's an experience of going to college that is at that, where some little bit, you can't, it's different for each person, does stay with you, and as you get older.
Yeah, and I don't want to discount the jobs training portion of it, because while I was at Fullerton, I was also a member of the advisory board for the extended education program, and that
Mhm.
was a perfect place to have vocationally focused training, where we had programs in client server programming languages. There lots of
Nice.
interesting stuff that was really geared towards what are the needs of the employers, so that you could actually bring somebody in, give them something valuable, which has a nice connection between what the core mission of the computer science department is and what the employer's needs are. So you don't have to worry about, oh my gosh, now I need to fully rewrite the curricula to be able now to offer the degree in that. No, it could change and flex as market needs change and evolve. So you're actually now doing both a public service as well as having something which represents an enhanced revenue stream for the university to be able to fund other things. So I think if we step back for a moment and think about the bigger picture around what the role of education is and who we're targeting, that gives us a little opportunity to be more creative about it instead of this path that it's gone down.
Yeah. And on that note, Ken Gon has fixed higher education. So I hope everybody's listening. I hope all the schools out there start refiguring out their curriculum to stop just ripping off students and prepare them for the real world a little bit more in a more economically and financially sustainable way, while still maintaining the mission of higher education. Get to it.
Yes, love it.
Yes.